too far away. It's much too early, or it's far too late. Maybe I'm too old now, I'm just afraid that you'll walk away. You're across the room from me, but it's an ocean wide, and the current's pulling us, dragging me aside. Or you're a constellation, and I'm just a star, blinking in the universe, but you'll never notice me at all. Just believe me, even if the words don't come out, they're here inside my head, stuck inside my mouth.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to week 2 of the mini RPG of the week. My name is NuaLaoch. I'm here wearing the now traditional turtleneck of a Trackmania caster, and I'm super excited to be bringing you what promises to be another excellent week of competition here. Of course, the map yet to be discovered. We're going to be heading quickly into a 15 minutes of time attack is the format here, followed then after that 15 minutes by rounds once everyone knows what they're doing, once the map has been a little bit discovered. And I'm going to be seeing the map blind along with all the rest of you tonight here, so I'm looking forward to that as well. We do know who the mapper is for tonight. It's Banano TV, a mapper who's been around in the community for a while, and we have a few tidbits to share with you as the evening goes on as well. That Banano has kindly provided us about his mapping style, what he thinks of tonight's map, and maybe some tricks and tips for those of you who are sticking around and maybe you want to try it yourselves afterwards. We're looking forward to what should be another excellent week of competition here tonight. Of course, last week, the winner was none other than Yannick's TM themselves. And Yannick is now coming off the back of coming second in tonight's Cup of the Day, which is kind of spooky, a little bit terrifying. And I think we expect Yannick to come in and potentially do quite well again. Is quite a strong player, of course, does the casting for, I believe it is Edelweiss, Mudda's team over in TMGL. So a player well known within the community. I'm sure none of you needed me to tell you that. Of course, last week as well, I mean, Yannick came first, but we did have Hazard coming in second and Meliu coming in third. So players to keep your eyes on. And of course, other players around the place would be Ryu Hacks, Mikmo as well. There's some good players in this community, and we are looking forward to seeing what they can do. I mean, the 15-minute discovery, I think, is definitely going to be an exciting one, seeing exactly how well some of these players line up, see what the track actually looks like. We do know the name of it as well. I can share with you that it is Hellish Dream by Banano TV will be the map that we will be loading into shortly here. And that's a name that strikes me as more than a little bit ominous. But we have been assured by Banano that it has maybe less random elements than you would maybe expect, in his own words, from him. So that's something to keep an eye on. We're expecting a track that could be a little bit consistent, could be okay. I mean, look, that was kind of what we saw last week as well, a consistent track in the form of Steamy Underground. It's one I played a bit during the week myself, and let me tell you, it's a tough track. It was quite difficult. It took me a little while to actually get the hang of it, especially that bowl section. That was rough, but we are into it here. And let's follow through as Canadian. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna butcher the names as I see them for the first time here, is trying to discover the map. A couple of early jumps on this one, a little left-hander. I'm going to assume you're going to want a little bit of speed here, not too much. Maybe it'll be this next section. No, a nice tight hairpin turn up the hill, taking a banking left turn across the grass. That's a transition that I think is going to potentially catch a couple of players out, but definitely will be consistent, you'd imagine, by the end of this time attack section. Jump here across the sausage block. Sweeping right-hand turn. Oh, that's a little bit more precise than you were expecting, and this looks like an interesting one. It's a half-pipe back onto itself, turn around, gather speed, you would imagine, and across onto a jump. A right jump, and oh no! Kennedy is forced to take the standing respawn. No, it's respawning all the way back to the start of the map. I'm just going to turn down the sound for myself a little bit here as well, as I'm struggling a little bit here myself. think, but that's fine. I've managed to do it. I didn't even need to get fancy with it. And look, we're following through again, as we're going to get used to this track as we go. We do know that the track is about a minute long. That is what Banano told us he was tasked with doing. That is what we know the mappers have generally been tasked with doing. This is mini RPG of the week after all. We don't want any major RPGs of the week. Back into this half-pipe, this time looking much better for Canadian? I'm just going to call them Canadian. That seems like it's probably what they were going for. Here's the jump, makes it, lands nicely down into it, and look, you can see the arrows over there. He spots the arrows. You love to see it. Down across, avoid the pillars. The pillars are dangerous. Is this transition or is this just a jump? It looks like with speed, this is probably just a jump, but unfortunately, no, it's fine. We do manage to slot between the trees as well. You can see times already starting to come in down in the bottom left as well. A couple of players setting low ones. Yannick's themselves already with a low 117, and I can imagine those times are only going to improve there. We're going to be figuring out what exactly a good time is for this map as we go along. That looks like, ooh, that's an interesting one. We love to see a little bit of a risky finish. It's going to be a side flip off that ramp to the left, or if you want to play it safe, you can just aim straight for the finish, but it will take you over the slow-mos. A very easy way to give your risky finish some stakes and to make the easy finish pretty much the same, but just guarantee that there's going to be a penalty for it. Let's dive a little bit into the notes that we have. Of course, some of you would have seen if you arrived here before we managed to actually start the stream up. The description, the one-sentence description given to us by Banano pre-stream, which was that this map, it's platform jumps, some little drifts, some jumps. It's back to the roots of the mini RPG maps. Banano tells us that he got asked to build a mini RPG of around 1 minute, and he decided to go for a slowish kind of map. I think we're seeing this here. There's a lot of jumps. You're not necessarily building up. We're not seeing the players reach those high speeds, or it's not big jumps, but there's definitely still a couple of speed checks here. This jump that Corchi's going over at the moment, if you don't get that half pipe right, I can see a couple of players missing this. Again here, interesting. There's the safe option pretty clearly around the outside and down the middle there, or there are the jumps again, and during rounds it's going to be so interesting, especially as we get to the later rounds. You expect to see all of the players going for that. In the early rounds, you're going to see a lot more players, I think, taking the safe routes, potentially trying to get through no matter what that way. Let's see how this risky finish works. Can Corchi land it? Oh, just about. Sneaks the bottom wheel onto it, and Corchi sets the nice time of 1:16.683. So right now, I don't think we're seeing many players break through that 1 minute mark. If we can go to the scoreboard, we can see up in the top right corner, Kiraj actually does have a 1:03 at the moment. The local records, they're getting closer and closer to that 1 minute mark. I'd expect to see that broken probably by the end of the 15-minute time. So far, as has been mentioned in chat by DankTM, we're definitely seeing a nice mix of safe and risky routes here. That's going to get very interesting throughout. It's going to definitely start to look very exciting, I think, as we do get towards the middle rounds, I think, especially when, you know, some of the best players are still risking it, but playing the risky lines a little bit safely. And as we get towards the later rounds, well, it'll be risky rounds or nothing. I've broken Twitch chat, by which I mean I've used the wrong command. Excuse me as I try to do a little bit of editing. There we go. And let's just change the title to reflect that we now have that as well. This is some commentary. Well, never mind. Nightbot has broken, and do you know what? Isn't that just a little bit of a shame? We're following Guisax now through it onto the plastic, and plastic a surface I'll be the first to admit I've never really got to grips with there, but with a tight enough drift on the exit of that, you could see a couple of slowdowns heading towards the risky finish. We definitely could see a couple of players getting caught out by that one as well, as if you lose a little bit too much speed, sure, you can accelerate fast on plastic, but you can decelerate just as fast as well. Still following Guisax through this one. We are still yet to see a time below the 1 minute mark. We are seeing some familiar names start to surface towards the top of the leaderboard, and by some familiar names, I mean Yannick's. Mentioned it once already at the top of the stream, but Yannick's did come second in today's Cup of the Day, so definitely feeling in form. Will probably be coming into this one with confidence. Ooh, I think we're going to see that more than once during these rounds. Let's follow Yannick through the rest of this run as well. Taking this drift around into this corner. It's a nice precise one, taking as much speed on the exit as possible. Going quite low on the jump, and that's definitely going to be a call. How low can you go on that jump is the question I think a lot of players will be asking. And of course, do you carry enough speed then going low to then carry it onto the next jump as well? This map is definitely flowing nicely from what we're seeing so far. It's all about keeping the right speed, figuring out now in the time attack section what the speed checks look like as well. How fast do you need to be going to make each of these jumps? And Can you figure out on the fly? Are you going a little bit too slow? Will you need to take a safer line through it as well? Here goes Yannick, straight down the middle of the poles, up through the middle, dodging the trees, a nice sideways landing into your drift. Down onto the next platform. Now there are 2 jumps you can go to here, and of course we'll see a lot of the top players and even most of the players you'd imagine going into it. Is this, I mean, intended strats, right? He's going for the bounces. I mean, it's faster, surely. No, I think it was just, of course, it was just a mistake. Here's the plastic again. Of course, it's not really too tight a turn on the plastic, and this finish, it's a quote-unquote risky finish. I think we're seeing that a lot of these players will be able to get it consistently. And Yannick's, you can see, I like that. That's a thinking man right there. Already starting to scope out exactly how much slower is this slow finish. If I need to risk it, how much time, and when I say risk it, I mean not risk it, of course. How much time will I be losing on the safe finish? It's good information to get. Now is the time to pick up that information as well. I mean, you're going to want to be figuring that one out in rounds at all. 8 minutes left here in this time attack section, still in the discovery phase. It's still definitely interesting. Let's get a little bit more information from what Banano wrote for us. There's not many high-speed sparts, he said. He was inspiring himself when making this map by watching a lot of TM2 mini RPG map videos on YouTube. We'll have to ask him for a playlist afterwards, because I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to playing this one myself. It looks like it's just going to be a fun map, very smooth, a lot of flow to the sections, and that's something I think, you know, look, last week's map was a lot of fun as well. It definitely had, I think, some trickier jumps and things that, if you didn't get them quite right, broke the flow. This seems like a map where, even with a minor mistake in the middle, you might be able to get back into the flow of it, take a safe line on one of the jumps, and build up speed, head back to the next section. That grass section you've just seen Branko go over. There's a couple of different pieces of the grass section you could go over. So we'll have to see if there's different choices being made between the players as to which segment they aim for. Let's keep an eye on Branko's speed over this jump now. He's going to hit about 240, 250 it looked like there. Is landing at about 180 and is taking the low line. And the low line was not the play with the amount of speed you were carrying there, Branko. Not without breaking a lot. Those outwardly banked turns, outwardly cambered turns, I suppose, if we want to get technical with it, can catch you out if you try to carry too much speed. If you want to go low, yeah, you can see having to shed a bit of speed, release to go around and stay high on it. Is now a little bit high on this one as well. Has to release again going into the corner. A little bit of an awkward landing. Will you go low? Jump is still trying for the high jump, but was forced to take such a high line to try for the high jump that what did just crash into the ring checkpoint. And you can see how punishing that's going to be for players as well. Crashing that ring checkpoint, well, it means that you're going to be forced to take a standing respawn at the previous checkpoint, and a standing respawn is just going to lead to you being a very, very long way behind and around. And of course, just there we did see Branko choosing to respawn the run instead. That's again going to be respawned from Comey. And up in the top rights of your screens, you will notice that we did have a player break the 1 minute mark. Didn't catch when it happened, but of course it was none other than Yannick's, going sub 1 minute on this one. 59.395 currently the time to beat in time attack. And I think we'll be saying, look, players, if they're setting a sub 1 minute time, it's been well calculated by the mapper here. Banano, take a bow, because we can look at that 1 minute. If anyone manages to break it in rounds, I think we're looking at that as a very solid time. With just 5 minutes left here in time attack, these players are really struggling to reach that point. Really, anything kind of around the sub 101 in rounds we'll be looking at and saying, yeah, that was a good time. That will probably be enough to keep you safe, at least in the early rounds. In the early rounds, we're expecting mistakes to probably be the deciding factor more often than not. Following Comey through the jump, you can see some players are definitely getting more comfortable with that lower line. Definitely are keeping it a little bit lower. Will you go for the risky finish, though? Of course you will. We'll head up into the plastic, bounce off. And it's an improvement, a big improvement of 1,300 seconds. We'll head to the menu very quickly, but no, it's okay. We're going to get back in and follow F-Olay. No, we'll follow Ice-TM instead. No ice on this track, Ice-TM. A little bit unfortunate for you, I guess. Although, I wonder, is it ice in the veins or is it ice on the track that's preferred by the player? We'll have to ask them afterwards if we get a chance to. Ice-TM now just heading for another run. These players, I mean, you really want to be getting ready with a map length of about 1 minute. You want to be thinking about getting your last runs in. If you have any last little bit of exploring to do, well, you're running out of time to do it. Now is really the time when you want to be dialed in. You want to be setting consistent runs, proving to yourself that actually, yeah, you can stay consistent. It's not really about glory runs in a time attack like this. Look, there's no divisions to be separated out into. It's just about getting it as consistently as you can. I guess it's about really just making sure that you can make these lines when the pressure is on, when you're dropping into that bottom couple of 2, 3, 4, when the red lights come on and you're blinking into it. Can you keep your nerve? It's going to be tough for some of these players, and it's one of the reasons this Cup of the Day format is so much fun to watch as spectators here on the cast. We're going to get a chance to highlight most of the players in these rounds. We're going to get a chance to see who can hold their nerve when they're in that race to the finish line, the mad dash to just keep themselves there, and who's going to end up just making the one last little mistake, taking the line too wide, clipping a wall by going a little bit too close, and just not quite making it. Up in the top rights of your screens, you will notice NuaLaoch has been pipped here in the last couple of minutes of TimeAttack, is now 2/3 tenths of a second behind Comey, who sets a low 59. Very impressive time indeed from the player. Back to some of the Banano facts, because hey, they're fun and we have access to them. Originally, the 180 half-pipe in the middle of the map was a lot thinner, so when we get to that here in a second, let's take a look at it. He made it a lot wider because he took pity on the players and decided that that was going to be a little bit too tough of a trick. And I think, fair enough, we can already see some of the players, you're struggling with it a little bit, but I'd love to see some of these guys have a go at it with the original thinner half-pipe as well. Here's NuaLaoch again, still, I think, just scoping out the slow finish, just trying to make sure that with a good run, he can still get a decent time on it. I think the answer was yes. It was obviously a lot slower than his PB right now, but definitely capable of doing it. Comey asking questions of NuaLaoch, but NuaLaoch is too busy practicing right now. No time to answer down in the chat there. Let's keep our fingers crossed all the chat keeps it clean here as well on our stream, and of course for NuaLaoch's stream's sake as well. Maybe his chat turned off. I don't think he does. In fact, I know he doesn't. I just saw it in the Cup of the Day when I was over there checking out that very impressive second place run. Very good stuff indeed from NuaLaoch, who's driving well here. And as we say, we'll be carrying a lot of confidence into this mini RPG of the week. Banano, of course, made this track pretty much entirely with vanilla blocks. A self-described vanilla block lover, at least for the road. Maybe some of the scenery in the background, a little bit less so. But it is nice to see, and I think a testament to the fact that you can make some very exciting maps, some very interesting maps, and some fun maps to play. Because I'll say it again, this map looks smooth as hell. It looks like it's going to be a good time to drive. And I'm sure we'll hear some of the same things to do it. As Comey is shut down by NuaLaoch in the bottom left corner. And it is fair enough. Look, this is competition. Once we're all in the hunt for it, once you're trying to get your times as low as possible, yeah, at that point, I mean, sure, we all know the Trackmania community is great for sharing tips, for seeing what other cars do and having a go at it. But in the meantime, when competition is on the line, now you shut that down. You tell them to figure it out for themselves. If you know something that'll give you an edge over the competition, you keep that to yourself. More than fair enough. I wonder if we do have any UKIE guys in here. Fingers crossed, it's an open competition. There's still time to jump in. 1 minute until round started. Maybe you know everything you need to know just from watching some of these glory runs here. I mean, it seems unlikely, doesn't it? Watching a map is never quite the same as playing it yourself. Here again, this jump is definitely looking like one of the trickier ones on the map. We're seeing a lot of players wheel catch on the edge of that, but it's okay. As long as you can just about get over it, you can still set yourself up for a decent drop down here into the next section of the map. Of course, the standing respawn here looks brutal, if I'm totally honest with you. Not something I'd want to be doing, and I could see a few players just going with the DNF if they do end up landing on that one themselves. Heading into the final 20 seconds of TimeAttack. If you're not started a run now, then you are not going to be really making it far into one. Last one is going to land through, and I think the second wall ride might have been Comey asking if you want to try that flip a little bit earlier. Maybe land on the wall, see if you can get your wheels some traction against the plastic, and would that save you half a tenth? Would that save you 100? Would that be enough to matter at any point during these rounds? I guess we'll find out. A few cars stop dead on the track as TimeAttack will end. Comey setting the best time with a 59.1. Corchi did sneak in below the 1 minute mark before we ended as well. Very impressive stuff. And as I say, if we see any 1 minutes come out in rounds, well, we're going to call them out, because that will be an incredible time to be setting. Looking forward to round one here between this. We have, it looks like, just over 30 players in the map. Deployer here at 33. And I'd imagine we have a couple of other spectators in here. Good looks, have funs. I'm looking forward to round one here on this map. Definitely interesting is the start here on this map. It's a nice little turnaround into kind of some early-ish tricks, and Banano highlighted that he felt one of the hard things about creating a mini RPG map is just making the start interesting. As we do know, players they'll tend to reset a lot, and making it fun right from the get-go is something that'll make your map all that more huntable, will make it a little bit more interesting. Banano saying that he looked back for some of his older maps and found a good idea on a map called Exotic Road that was track of the day just a few months ago, and he adapted it just a little bit more to fit into this mini RPG thematic. He's also pretty happy with how the finish of the map turned out. So start and finish were a focus for him on this map, and parts that he's happy with how they turned out. That finish, definitely a nice one, and one that he feels is easy enough to get consistently, but does reward a little bit of risk. There are the players starting off here in the first round. Of course, this round, there will be no eliminations. NuaLaoch with an early crash into a wall there as well. FOLA just taking the pause, shaking the hands out, making sure there's not going to be any cramps, as we'll follow through with Ice TM as well here on the warm-up round. Players now, we'll see who manages to top it in this one. Definitely not the round that matters the most. We can see some players on that grass section. There are a couple of different lines, but most players seem to be choosing the lower of the two options and trying to get that a little bit faster. And then again, this jump. Hopefully we'll be able to get some further away shots of that one as well. I know I'm asking a lot of Deployer, but I think seeing the jump there and being able to see the heights of players will be very interesting. Oh, that jump looks so nice when it's taken perfectly, doesn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. And then you carry your speed, and it's a nice landing here as well. Again, that landing, one that's brutal if you haven't quite got the speed. And of course it carries through, being able to get the high jump here, not having to go over the grass in the middle and into the finish. And we'll see the first 1, 2, 3 players go for the risky finish. They'll all land it as well. And there goes Kiraj. Kiraj, last week's mapper, created Steamy Underground. We'll be looking now on a map that he himself didn't create to put up a pretty solid performance. 32 players here in the map. Going to be exciting. Definitely going to be fun. I believe that means we will be going straight into 2 players eliminated, but I will admit that I am not 100% sure about that, and it'll tell us when we start into the proper round 1 here. 13 seconds until we do get into round 1 here. Mini RPG of the week. It's week 2. It's all on the line from here. 32 players looking for that top spot. Will someone be able to knock Yannick's off that top spot? Will it be one of the players we know? Will someone come swooping in from the outside? Someone who just likes this map a little bit better. My eyes are on Mikmo. My eyes are on Komi and Korchi, putting up those sub 1 minute times as well. My eyes are, of course, on Yannick's. Here we are, round 1. And we'll keep an eye on who the players going out are. 4 players to be eliminated here in round 1, of course. Mikmo all the way up at the front. Black Pulse down at the back. Armad themselves, the person who's adminning the whole match. Maybe it's an early throw just to make sure he can keep an eye on things. Says Mikmo, that's a big crash. That's a very big crash. And Mikmo dropping to the back now. Will still be outside the back 4. I mean, early on, the mistakes may turn out to be less costly as long as you can recover from them. Let's head back. Let's take a look at Mirak, at Mister. Let's keep an eye on those players who are potentially going to be the players dropping out this round early on. If we can. I'm not sure we can. We're sticking with Tada for the moment. And with Tada, will make it again. A big crash there at the back, in the middle of the pack, up front. And a crash there, as we said earlier, could prove to be very, very costly. You want to be careful on that landing. Tada takes it nice and wide. And these top players, you can see they're all choosing the top line early on. That's going to be an awkward landing for Tada, but manages to keep the car recovered. Manages to keep the car flat anyway, and every single one of these players will go for the risky finish, but not all of them will make it. Tada scrapes across the line, and with 2 crashes in front of them, will get the 3rd place as well. That's a nice one, and that is round 1. We're looking at Mirak, we're looking at Mr. Elite Soldier, and the Black Pulse as the players that might go out potentially. IceTM is at the back, but IceTM is taking the high jump and carrying plenty of speed into this one. We'll turn back to the players who are at the back. IceTM making another big mistake. In fact, IceTM might be caught up with by here in a second. Big turbine all the way at the back at the moment. Davcrow, Black Pulse, Elite Soldier, and Mister. It's Davcrow with a DNF. 1 guaranteed elimination. 6 seconds left to finish here. And it's looking like we will have the players getting locked in. These players have not left the start line. And so while we did technically start with 32 players, the answer is, well, we'll say goodbye to 7 players as they did not, in fact, really start the race. As Komi will DC. Something happened there, it looked like. And Komi, the player who set the best time in round 1, has been eliminated from competition already. That's a little bit unfortunate, and we're not sure why Black Pulse was there. But look, 4 players will be eliminated again. This time, will everyone start the race? It sure looked like it this time. Again, we're going to try and stick with the players at the back in general, where the eliminations are going to happen, because that's a little bit more interesting. And Nils may have wanted to keep the camera on themselves a little bit longer, because there has been an early clip on the wall there. Is down into 24th, but as we head towards the next checkpoint, there's been a couple more mistakes as well. Players clipping the inside there on that upwards bank turn, and Nils climbs all the way up into 18th. Branko, a player we followed during the warm-up, down there in 26th at the moment, and that's going to be on the danger of elimination. This turnaround now, we're heading high, and we'll see where we go on it. Branko is chasing, carrying a little bit of speed. We saw a player fall off there. Gogo is all the way back into 26th now. Branko is carrying speed. When we get to this next checkpoint, it looks like we're going to be having to head even further back the field, as I think a few too many cars have been overtaken for Branko to be still in this 26th point. In fact, it is Branko all the way up into 20th, and you can see the mistakes coming thick and fast at this early point of the competition. One more jump. Branko messing that one up, but oh, look at that. That's just a wicked steer if I've ever seen one. A nice front flip in the middle of the map. Branko does it with style and will look to stay in here. Going for the safe finish as well. No need to risk when you're this far ahead. Zazaro is now still down in this 23rd spot, the danger point, but carrying speed, chasing a player down who will manage to get there. What positions are they in? It looks like they're all going to be safe. Zazaro, though, misses, and this could be Zazaro going out. Will go for the risky finish again, and with the risky finish, overtook, I believe, 2 people in that jump. And it was F.O.Lay who took the safe finish and will ultimately be eliminated for it. That is a little bit unfortunate for them. That is why the risky finish provides us so much entertainment. That's why we love a risky finish. And of course, we do have to call out Yannick's one more time, going sub 1 minute here in rounds. I believe our first sub 1 minute of rounds as well, picking up the number 2 local record as well. And with Comey gone, unfortunately, it does look, well, unfortunately the Comey's gone. Not unfortunate that it does look like Yannick's will be the player to beat right now on this map. Nice TM, following through with them one more time. Has bounced once and heading towards the back of the pack. There is Yog, down in 19th place. This uphill, we've seen it catch out a couple of players. Carrying your speed through that uphill drift right on landing seems a little bit tough. We're still seeing 1 or 2 cars take the upward line across the grass, but I'm not sure that many people are agreeing with it anymore. It sure seems to be the lower line that's getting favored. One more time into this jump, and you can see varying heights for the players, just trying to make sure that you're guaranteed to have enough speed to make it all the way up there. TM Heave has been hovering around this elimination line for a couple of rounds, but right now is looking like they'll have gotten themselves well clear of the elimination line for the time being. Up into 17th place, Branko just behind them. And Kiraj now, the mapmaker from last week, is the player on the board. Or Team Heave, oh, that's quite close, but perfectly judged, perfectly executed, all the way up to nearly a top 10 finish. That's a little bit awkward off the jump, but it'll still be well within margin for a finish. Zazaro now down in the bottom and heading towards the line. I think too many cars have finished for you to overtake anyone at this point. It will be Zazaro in 19th, Tada into 20th, Nailus in 21st, and Jungle Core in 22nd. Well, Jungle Core manages an overtake for 21st. But that's just for pride at this point. Those will be the 4 players that we say goodbye to in this round as we head rapidly towards less and less eliminations. Yannick's again improved that round. Managed to put up a 59.1. Absolutely scorching time here in rounds. Still only one of 3 players to break the 1 minute mark at all, and now he's done it twice in a row in rounds. So as we get further and further towards the end of this, we're going to be seeing how close anyone is to Yannick. For the time being, though, we're going to stick with the players at the back, stick with the players who are fighting for their lives in this competition. Still 4 players to be eliminated this round. I believe after this round we will be heading to lower eliminations. I'll say it again, that uphill drift has definitely been catching players out more than it feels like it should, you know? I mean, that feels like it's one of the safe sections, and maybe that's why it's catching so many players out. When it's not a trick, the RPG players, they start to lose focus a little bit. Here comes Mary, down in last place at the moment, will be chasing onto it. Yog is in the elimination zone as well, with Branko just in front, a name that we're familiar with at this point, but Branko definitely seems to have an edge over a lot of these cars in the middle. It's very consistent through the middle section. You can see it already. Yog and Branko, 2 players who have climbed straight out of that elimination zone. Erosia, Novu, Dubu, and Mary, they're the players in the hot seat at the moment. A couple more crashes on the last couple of jumps. It's still LaOch, Erosia, Dubu, Mary down in those bottom spots. There's a lot of cars heading towards the line. It's going to be a close finish between these few cars, but I believe they're all safe for the time being. LaOch will look to be the 15th player, and you can see Heisenbagel will finish just in front of LaOch. And Erosia just in front as well. Dubu, Erosio, Lawsheep, Merry. The 4 players that we'll say goodbye to as we head towards our top 14. The competition has been fierce. And at the top as well, we see Corchi coming very, very close to breaking the 1 minute mark in rounds. Was 4 thousandths away from doing so. That is impressive, but of course Corchi, one of the 3 players who had already broken the 1 minute time. We're used to it, alright Corchi, we know you can do it. Just prove that you can do it in rounds. Neko Jim TM. We love a good weave, a good anime lover, I'm sure, as well as so many are in this community. Probably a scrappy viewer, you'd have to guess. Here's Kiraj, still in the competition. I can't say it enough. I did enjoy last week's map a lot, and Kiraj is looking to prove that he doesn't just make them, he can drive them too. Here on Banano's map, he's looking to go all the way through. Kiraj is sitting in a safe position right now, and it's 2 players to be eliminated this round, so there are more of those safe positions. Yog and Branko, names we have come to see a few times. Someone slipping off the side of the jump there. Branko will take full advantage of that. Once again in the middle section of the map, this is where Branko shines. This is where he makes his moves, gets all the way past, straight down through the middle, takes the jump nicely as well. Up into 9th place, it is Kiraj who's down in that hot seat. 13th place, a mess, and we've said a couple of times, this is not a jump, this is not a checkpoint you want to be respawning on. It is the next one that's more punishing though. Branko, not enough speed to try for the top jump, will be forced to go low. And could this come back to punish Branko? How close are the cars behind? It doesn't look like close enough to really challenge, and Kiraj has overtaken Yog. Neko Jim, the player we were looking at earlier, has slipped back into that 14th place. Is a couple of seconds behind the play as well. Will be Yog just driving it home, and it looks like Yog will be the player that we're going to say goodbye to this round. One more time across the line, old friend. Yog in 13th place, Neko Jim in 14th. We're down to our top 12 at this point. This is an exciting map to watch so far. You know, it's got the speed to have players overtaking, it's got tight jumps, and it's got some speed checks that some players are definitely failing. Love to see it as we head into our top 12. It's getting very, very tight. There are very few names left who you'd be looking at and saying, yeah, these guys are going to start making some mistakes. Let's follow through with Yannick for a little bit on this round. There you can see him in the middle of the pack. They start catching people. Some interesting different lines into that jump. Not sure how much of that is being deliberate, but we definitely see some players going a lot further left. Yannick is taking that turn so much tighter than everyone else. That seems to be where he's making up a lot of time at the moment. There's someone clipping on the track. Kiraj and Branko, they're the players who are back, but as we head towards the next checkpoint, whoever it was that clipped will have struggled to make up time. Who was it? It looks like it was Heisenbagel. Falling a long way down the running order right now, is a couple of seconds off the pace. Novu, middle of the pack, in 5th, right behind the leaders. And the leaders, all of them going for the jump, except then back in 5th and 6th. Relics and Novu are just choosing to still play it safe at this point. They know that it's comfortable enough. I wonder how many of these players are playing with ghosts on. I would guess not a huge amount of them, but definitely some of them, you know? I mean, it's a place on. It can catch some people out. Heisenbagel is in a very, very rough spot right now. I think that's it. Time to say goodbye to Heisenbagel. We said it even in the time attack. That was not a checkpoint that you could afford to respawn and stay in during rounds. Goodbye to Heisenbagel, and it looks like goodbye to Psycho Lutra as well. It was close enough, but that will be it. We break it down into our top 10. We started with 30 cars. Well, we technically started with 32, except then 7 of them didn't drive round 1. And quick maths, that's 25 cars we started. Having said goodbye to 15 players, we will head now towards the top 10. Yannick still setting some incredible times, has broken the 59 barrier while we were playing here. But he's got some cars close enough behind him. No one else breaking that 59. I think right now you'd have to look at Yannick and say odds are pretty good for Yannick to take this one at the moment, but that's the joy of mini RPG, isn't it? It could all happen all the way up to that last jump. There's a crash out early on in the map. It looks to be Branko, it looks to be Kiraj. There's another crash in the middle though. Didn't catch who that was. We have to wait. It's a long way to this next checkpoint. I've seen another crash in the background there. And there's someone taking it slow. That's Ice TM all the way back here. Here's Branko, and ooh, the line is good. But how much speed did you carry? Forced to make a couple of readjustments. Can you make the jump? Yes, just about. Will be forced to play it safe around the turn though. It's Mikmo and Ice TM who are down at the back. Mikmo, a well-known RPG player, will be pushing to stay in it. Look, even as the RPG tag, not too many with that, but you can see the recovery has been good and is clean through these jumps, in a safe 8th position at the moment. Rexlux is there in the bottom. Again, apologies if I'm butchering the name. Not much I can do about it. I'm seeing it for the first time. My bad. Mikmo is going to side flip, take the jump, and Ice TM goes higher. Or excuse me, Korchi went higher. Rex looks nice. TM. No, it has been an overtaken mistake by Novu. You'd have to feel, oh, back at the ring checkpoint. Our old nemesis. Goodbye, Novu. You'll be missed. The ring claims another one here in rounds. A tough finish to finish on. Canadian doing well, nearly became the 4th player to break the 59 barrier. I tell a lie, as Ice, while I wasn't looking, broke the 59 barrier. We have 4 of them. Canadian nearly becoming the 5th to break the 1 minute barrier and get inside 1 minute on this track. We're heading into now our top 8, and it is only going to get more and more competitive from here. You cannot afford to make a huge amount of mistakes. In fact, I would say you cannot afford to make any. Into this finish, or into this start, excuse me, one more time. An early jump. That's nice. Easy enough to build up the speed, but it's always nice to be jumping through the air. That's a nice landing by Canadian. You can see it's allowed him to carry a lot more speed through here. Branko and Kiraj, we've seen them again. Branko, it feels like on the elimination border since probably 24, 25 players, and you have to ask, how long can you keep getting away with it? Going over the grass segments like that, it feels like the answer might be not too much longer, but it has been this middle section where Branko has shone, where he is overtaking cars consistently, has just looked so much more consistent, and there's a couple of players who made mistakes turning into it. So yeah, look, there you go. As we head towards the next checkpoint, you're going to see a couple of names already behind Branko. Who are they? Well, the answer is Korchi, and the answer is Kira. Here's Korchi, not too far behind. Branko running away in the distance, making a break for the line. Will the ring checkpoint claim any more on this track? So far, it doesn't look like it of these top ones. No, it will claim Korchi. It will claim Korchi. You're not going to recover for this one. And you can see the resets coming through. The sadness, the desperation. As at this point, you know, Branko races away across that goal line. Very much a hare in a tortoise situation for Branko. Has been falling behind early, but has been making it back. Korchi will cross the line. Kiraj with the DNF. And that will be it for our map maker from last week, from Korchi, and Branko survives all the way into the top 6. Meanwhile, Yannick still racing away at the front, has been incredibly impressive, incredibly consistent. We expect nothing less. 6 players left. We will be into a top 4 after this point. I believe that will take us into single elim at that point as well. Rex looks, I'm kind of disappointed you've survived this long, if only because I have no idea how to pronounce your name and you're being forced to listen to it longer. Yannick with an early mistake. Surely he regains. Surely we don't say goodbye to Yannick this early. He's already chasing down Branko, the king of the midsection though. And this could be a battle. If there's anyone who can challenge in the midsection, you might feel it'd be Branko. But I mean, there's a reason Yannick has been setting sub 1 minute, a sub 59 as well. And it's not because he's been making mistakes there either. Will be in 4th place, but the problem is 5th place is not good enough right now. Yannick is taking a line. He's not going for the jump there. Feels it's faster, and he's proven to be correct as he overtakes the 2 players in front of him who both went for the jump. It's a low jump there, and oh no, that's someone landing awkwardly. TM Heave, I believe, will overtake as well. Yannick's very low across the jump. No! TM Heave just about made the jump, but will the speed be enough? I'm not sure. It will be to get you across the line right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a finish. Canadian TM just there and on the line. It was sniped away by TM Heave. It doesn't get closer than that. Mid-air, the jump, he went high, and it worked out. Rex looks will lose out, and will finally have to say goodbye to Branko as well. In a 6th place, a well-earned 6th place as well, as he kept his nerve. We asked which players would show ice, and it was definitely Branko throughout this. That is our top 4. As Black Pulse apologizes, that should have been single elim. Robbed, unfortunately, for our friend Rex Lux. There you go. Thank you for sending a message, Rex Lux, as we will say goodbye to you on that round. Top 4 into single elim right now. And at this point, well, I mean, in some ways you can breathe a little bit easier, right? 1 mistake is enough to keep all the other players safe. There's no one chasing to snipe you at the line, as TM Heave managed to do last time. But at the same time, there's only 4 players left, and they've not been making a lot of mistakes. TM Heave will be chasing them down one more time. He's the player who has it all to prove here in the back half of the course. He is the player who will be risking a little bit more, and that is really it. With just 4 players left, you really can decide the level of risk that you are going to go for on each of these turns. You have to know exactly what you're doing. TM Heave going for different lines. In the jump, we've seen it not necessarily work out. Yannick was carrying a little bit more speed by not going for the jump on previous rounds, and you can see racing away into the distance there. No mistakes just yet. Mikmo has been overtaken in the middle of the track, but takes the lower jump. There's that risk we were talking about. Will it work? And TM Have has crashed out. That will be a goodbye. The player who sniped at the end of the last round, who provided excitement, one more time will take the risky finish, but this time it will not be enough. There was nobody slow moving enough to overtake in midair. We'll so say goodbye to the man in the Aussie car and head into our top 3. Let's decide who our 2 finalists are going to be. As right now, this is going to be an exciting one. None of the players apart from Yannick who are remaining did manage to break that 1 minute mark. Can any of them do it to take out Yannick here in the last 2 rounds? An early mistake by Canadian. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Oh, you're relying on a mistake from someone else now, and at the same time you probably still just have to kind of risk it. Although there's the question, do you play it safe and hope for the mistake, or do you go full send and hope that it is fast enough that your opponents play it a little bit too safe? Maybe try and put the pressure on Canadian. He takes a much lower jump there than Mikmo, maybe hoping that he'll manage to catch up, shave off the 10th where you can. Yannick is off. This is a 2-horse race to stay in the competition. Mikmo made a mistake, and so did Canadian again, and now it's just a dash to the finish line. Canadian, he reset just there, and Mikmo now he pulls out a lead. How big is the lead? It's 2 seconds it looks like here. Canadian, another mistake with the red lights flashing, the borders on the screen, the pressure all a little bit too much. Canadian will watch the taillights of his opponent vanish around the last corner, unless there's a mistake, and there is. Mikmo, no, what have you done? Can Canadian snipe it away now at the end? Canadian DNF. Why would you DNF? You never DNF in those situations, and you can see it in chat. Canadian with the bruh. Bruh, how could you do that to me? I gave it to you. The DNF was in, and then you crashed. What are you doing to me, man? It doesn't matter. In the end, it'll come down to this. Mikmo and Yannick. Who will win the 2nd ever edition of the mini RPG of the week? Yannick is definitely the player to beat right now. His landing is cleaner on the first big jump of the map, and Mikmo is already chasing into the grass section. Of course, both of these players, they've got their lines on lock at this point. It'll come down to consistency. It'll come down to not making a mistake. And I mean, can Yannick even make a mistake? This player, he's come 2nd tonight in the Cup of the Day. He's been so consistent throughout, the only player to break a sub 59 so far, and he has already, just driving faster, pulled out a 1 second lead on his opponent. It's up to a 1.5 as we head towards the final checkpoints of the map. This is starting to feel a little bit like a victory map for Yannick, a victory lap I should say, as Yannick heads into the last couple of jumps. There is no way from here. I don't see Yannick messing up this final jump. He will not. Takes it low, and Yannick, for a 2nd week on the bounce, will put in a victory earning performance in mini RPG of the week. Here on Hellish Dream, a map that has been fun from start to end, that has provided the highs and the lows from Banano. It's Yannick to pull out a 2nd win. I hope you all enjoyed joining us for the competition here tonight. I for sure have been enjoying casting it for you. What a competition we've had. What drama we've had throughout. That 3rd place Canadian, I think after this one, is going to learn why you don't ever want to forfeit. That's why you run it to the end. The Bradbury principle. The man, the figure ice skater. Look, I can never remember his first name, and I said it once and I got it wrong, and it was deeply embarrassing. I got called out by a lot of Australians. Let me just up my camera lights a little bit. Hey, you can see me a little better all of a sudden. You never want to give up before the end. You never know what might happen. But listen, I think ultimately that's all we have to say here for this week. I hope you've enjoyed joining us here. I have for sure, as I say, enjoyed casting it. A huge shout out to Zeterate, who could not be here this week, to Black Pulse for doing the admin instead, for Banano for such an excellent map to deploy behind the scenes, for production, and of course to all of the players who put on the show, joined the server, played so well throughout, and to you who are here in Twitch chat. We'll see you all again for it next week, where we'll do it all again one more time. I believe we do know who the mapper is for next week. I'll have to get confirmation on that one. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure someone has it. If they don't, well, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to find it in the Discord, I'm sure. And of course, you should join that Discord, !Discord in the chat for all the details on upcoming casts, on upcoming tournaments, on, of course, for some more fun RPG maps. It's an incredibly entertaining style. It's a fun one to play, and it's a very welcoming community over there as well. Make sure you get over there. One more time, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you back here next week.
You're a little too close, but too far away. It's much too early, or it's far too late. Maybe I'm too old now. I'm just afraid that you walk away. You're across the room from me, but it's an ocean wide, and the current's pulling us, dragging me aside. Or you're a constellation, and I'm just a star, blinking in the universe, but you'll never notice me at all. When you're gone, I don't know what to say. When you're with me, I can't say anything anyway, so just believe me. Even if the words don't come out, they're here inside my head, stuck inside my mouth.